Kongversation.
I must become one with the jungle. In order to survive, I need to camouflage myself. Oh wait, I'm already a gorilla.
Tums. Oh, I'm gonna need Tums if I'm gonna talk about Smash. Welcome to the Kongversation! Oh, I'm Hyle Russell, and I'm excited! I'm so excited to talk about Smash Brothers! This week, I'm joined, yet again, by one Mitchell Wolfe, from off of the Super Jump podcast. Hi, Mitchell, how are you doing?
Hey, Hyle, it's good to be here. I'm standing outside of Bandai Namco, it's located in Tokyo, Japan, and I'm hoping that if I stand here long enough, we might get some interesting information about what's going on inside of the development. Back to you, Hyle.
Thanks, Mitch. No, but seriously, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. We've just been standing here for sorry. I'm doing all right. I started a new diet this morning, and I hope that it lasts until tonight.
Now, I can't keep up with all the fad diets, Mitchell. Which one is this?
This is the diet that Penn Jillette went on to lose like 100 pounds at once.
You know he's a magician, right? So everything he does is a filthy lie.
Yeah, I know, but I'm stupid, so I can just, follow and believe everything that he does without actually having to buy into it in any kind of scientific way. But it's potatoes. It's just potatoes.
Well, okay. Well, I'm sure the potato diet makes allowances for other Irish staples.
It
like,
absolutely does
Lucky
not. They're
Charms.
very clear about that. They
really not even Lucky Charms,
not even black pepper to put on a potato,
or Lucky Charms,
that you can grind up and then also put on a potato.
Yeah.
For that great, sweet, chalky crunch.
Well, speaking of food, before we actually get talking about Smash Brothers, I do need to clear something up about the last episode of the Kongversation I did. Now, those who listened may have heard what they thought was the end of the world, Mitchell, but we're still here, and it was a very disconcerting explosion, and I'm sure it kept many people up at night. They couldn't get a proper night's sleep, and they were very grumpy the next morning. I'm sure Starbucks got a lot of business, what with people needing a caffeine boost. But it wasn't the end of the world. So even though our pollinators are being eradicated, the world is still here. No, what it was, Mitchell, was... during the episode, I got a hankering for spaghetti, okay? So I decided to test the limits of my recently diagnosed lactose intolerance by dousing it with Parmesan cheese, as one does if they're not a foodie. If they're not a foodie. And I figured, the Parmesan cheese is so dry. What would be the harm in just using half the canister of Parmesan cheese on my spaghetti? Because I don't like a lot of sauce on my spaghetti. I just like...
I see. This is like the logic that, ice is dry, so there can't be any water in it.
Well, okay, so, yeah. As it turns out...
There's some cheese in it.
Yeah, even extremely dry cheese results in a very wet anal sneeze. So that's what we heard on the episode as it ended. And a very special welcome to listeners of the Super Jump podcast.
We've been doing the Super Jump podcast for, it's creeping up on almost a year now. And
where does the time go?
And I still have no idea what our demographic is. So maybe that's exactly what they wanted to hear. Maybe it's just nuns. Maybe it's only nuns. And we just lost the whole thing. But I think it'll probably be fine, I guess. I don't know.
Hopefully it's monks who have taken a vow of silence, so that way you never get any feedback on what you can do to improve the product. Unlike me, I get a lot of feedback and I just ignore it. So, for those of you who are regular listeners of this show that I host, The Kongversation, you'll know very well that I am pretty damn burned out on Smash Brothers, Mitch. We did an episode, you and I, of The Kongversation last August, And I believe it was scrubbing Smash's taint, because we are very eloquent and erudite here on the Kongversation, and that's the way we title things. But it was all about, how can Smash Brothers be improved in the hypothetical for the next Smash Brothers game, you know? And that was last August. Well, here we are. It's March 2018, and well, the next Smash Brothers game has just been announced officially on the last Nintendo Direct. So, let me just explain my position real quick for those of you who may be wondering, well, how can the host of the Kongversation be burned out on Smash Brothers? It's got Donkey Kong in it. It's got Diddy Kong in it. You like Nintendo, Hyle. How can you possibly be burned out on this grand mashup of Nintendo and video game icons?
Well, first of all, no one thinks you like Nintendo, Hyle. That's
no. Well, there's the misconception that I hate Nintendo too. There's extremes. We only trade in extremes on the internet anymore. There is no room for nuance. And my relationship with Nintendo is very nuanced. I grew up being a Nintendo kid. I had an NES as my second video game console, after the old wood-paneled Atari, and which I believe my parents got at a yard sale. So it wasn't like I was part of that first generation of Atari kids. I got an Atari when the NES was already out. So I'm not that old, but that was my first video game console. So I got to experience that before we got an NES. And, I loved Nintendo. I watched the Super Mario Brothers Super Show religiously every day after school. I wanted to get a pair of overalls to be just like Mario. And then, I got a Super Nintendo, I got a Game Boy, and then Donkey Kong Country came out, and all of a sudden nothing else really mattered as far as Nintendo was concerned. I had found this title that appealed to me in every possible way a title could appeal to me, a franchise, and I no longer really had much interest in the rest of Nintendo. It's the weirdest thing when something scratches every itch you could possibly have, and then all of a sudden nothing else is as satisfying a scratcher anymore. If that makes any sense. So
yeah, sure.
Basically, I found my favorite Nintendo franchise, and I fell in love with Rare. And then my views evolved over time, and I still have a great affinity for Nintendo and a healthy respect for Nintendo. But I also think Nintendo has kind of moved away from what interests me as a gamer. It comes and goes, obviously, but my era of Nintendo was kind of at its apex in the mid-90s when they were finally putting the kill shot in for Sega, and slowly afterwards, it's been just a slow kind of parting of the ways as far as me and Nintendo goes. And that doesn't mean I haven't bought every Nintendo console since then, sans the Switch, which I'm going to buy in the next month or two. It's just, I don't know. It's just one of those things where a lot of their decisions I haven't really necessarily agreed with, and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, Smash Brothers.
Yeah. To contrast, Smash Brothers on its own is probably one of my favorite Nintendo series. Maybe number 3 of all of them.
That's like saying the Avengers is your favorite Marvel franchise.
No, it's not, because it's like maybe it's like saying the Avengers is your favorite Marvel movie.
Okay.
Or comic book, or I don't know. Do people still read their Marvel on those lithographs? I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I like Smash is all I'm trying to get at.
Sure.
I really love Melee. I even really like Wii U, even though we talked about that on that previous episode I was on. My relationship with Super Smash Bros. Wii U is that I still think it's like my second favorite of the Smash games. Just not quite to the level of Melee. And unlike a lot of Melee fans who see Melee as kind of like an accident, and I do see where they're coming from, it can't be something that's repeated in future installments. I don't share that
Like, they think
opinion.
it's an accident? I've actually not heard that opinion that Melee was just a fluke.
You roll out of bed and look. Did you eat too much bran before you went to sleep last night? You just left Super Smash Bros. Melee there. What an accident.
Wait. Why are your bowel movements that of a household pet? Like, what?
Well, Hyle, you've actually never seen me in real life. I could be a dog. Anyone on the internet might be a dog. But
I've met you like 3 times in real life. Okay. All right.
Woof. So the idea that Super Smash Bros. Melee is an accident kind of stems from what competitive fans, specifically competitive fans, but even non-competitive fans as well, what they like in Melee. So if we're talking competitively for a second, and I know that's not, probably a majority of the listeners of this show's favorite like aspect of it. A lot of the advanced techniques that make the skill ceiling for Melee so high, meaning you can just keep getting better and better if you practice against better people and go to more tournaments. What makes that so high, and the skill floor so low, meaning like that's the minimum amount of skill you need to have fun in the game. It was a fluke because that wasn't necessarily what Sakurai was designing for. By like competitive players use wave dashes, which is something that they put in the game. It wasn't an accident. It's not a glitch, but they didn't exactly see how like valuable that would be to a competitive player. Or something like L canceling, which is where if you use a move in the air and you land, you have to like go through an animation of like standing back up straight. If you press the L button when you do that, that animation lasts half as long. If you're playing casually, you never have to know about that. It'll never come up. It'll never hurt your fun. But if you're playing competitively, it's like getting good at stuff like that is consistently rewarding because you can just keep, you can get higher and higher in the rankings of tournaments and stuff like that. That's what a lot of people like. And there's some other tonal things that people like about Melee. I think the menu of that game is super great. The best the series has ever had. I think the atmosphere of like that opening cinematic and that the tone that it gave to the game, it was more subdued, I think, than either Brawler or Wii U or 3DS for that matter. When I say Wii U, just assume I'm also talking about 3DS.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, for me, look, I am probably the quintessential casual Smash fan. I am not in any way a competitive Smash player. I kind of recoil at the thought of even engaging in that world. It just has no interest to me, and I don't mean to disparage anybody who is into that, because you can have, make your own kind of music, have whatever fun you want to have with these games, play them to your heart's I mean, I would be a hypocrite if I got ornery with people for wanting to play a game how they want, because half the fun of my experiences with gaming is really investing in the game world and fleshing out the lore in my head and coming up with headcanon. And, that's where I'm coming from. But for me, like, as a casual, Melee still has not been topped. And I say that because Melee did not have the best roster. I would argue Brawl had the most refined and complete roster of any Smash Brothers game. I know Super Smash Bros. 4 had more characters, but I feel like the ones that were in Brawl were the most worthy, minus a Solid Snake or two, So, but Melee, even though it didn't have the best roster or it have all of the additions that later games had, for me, it just felt like it was scaled back and uncomplicated to the point where there was a magic that we have never seen in any game, fighting or otherwise. There is this weird magic and charm to it that's almost ethereal, otherworldly. I can't really put it into terms, but you mentioned the menus, and that's a great example.
Yeah.
When I play the game, I'd never seen a menu system like this, and it's so intuitive. It's almost like you barely have to think about it, and it's part of that immersion of whatever weird world Smash inhabits. It's just like it really does feel like it's almost this spiritual realm where all these characters can come together. All of these disparate franchises can coexist. And I love that it was a celebration of all of their history, but also all of Nintendo's history as well. It was just, it did so many things right. And I feel, I don't want to get into the argument, even though I'm sure I've made this argument on the conversation in the past, that Sakurai is in any way a George Lucas, where he doesn't understand the appeal of his own property, because as we've just demonstrated here, different people find different things appealing about Smash Brothers.
I don't think it's fair, and it's not fair. And it's fair because, like, you're right about that point. I think that there was a major source of appeal in Melee that, for a lot of people, did return in Brawl and Wii U. But for some, like that menu is a perfect example, because every game had like a different menu until Brawl, 3DS, and Wii U had very similar menus. And that implies to me, and also the game he worked on in between those, Kid Icarus Uprising, also had that same style of menu. That implies to me that is the original intent, or at least his favorite version of what's happened so far. And if that's what he's getting out of it, I mean, that's great for a lot of people. But the people's favorite menu, and this has been polled, and people have voiced this on the internet. This is the new internet thing they made. They are saying that Melee had the best menu, and that just is kind of counterintuitive to what I assume Sakurai's actual stance on the matter is. So in that way, yes, George Lucas, in the way that George Lucas is actually just not a great director. I don't know about that for Sakurai, because like his other games, consistently great. Remember, did you play Air Ride? Kirby Air Ride?
No, I haven't.
It's a good game. That's all I have to say about it. It's fun.
No, the last Kirby game I played in full was Kirby Stream Course for the Super Nintendo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which I loved. That's another game that was just weird, but it had a magic to it that I find unparalleled today. No, I think part of the problem, and again, there are people who prefer Brawl and the 4 duology, I'm sure, but I think part of the problem is when you kind of hit on perfection on a formula that is so many things for so many people on your second outing, any attempts to build on that will just be kind of pulling a thread out of a quilt. It's inevitably going to unravel. So when you say Melee was an accident, I kind of see it. Because Melee, whatever Sakurai's intentions for Melee were, it had such a broad appeal, such a broad cross-section of people who fell in love with that inevitably, whenever you're going to try to use that as your foundation, people aren't going to want to live on those upper levels that you just built.
Well, I should cap this off by saying the entire Melee was an accident argument was brought up to say that I don't agree with it. And
yeah. Well, neither do I.
That's just bad podcasting on my part.
I mean,
I walked right into that one. But all I'm saying is that the Melee presented a thing I like, where it built on the worlds of the games instead of just recontextualizing the worlds. Like,
yes.
Every one of those stages in Melee, they had the name of the stage and like where it is located. I thought that was super cool. And in Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, you get similarly recontextualized worlds as stages, like the Wrecking Crew building, but then the name of the building is just Wrecking Crew. That's not exciting, right? That should be at least Wrecked Building if you don't want to name the building, if you just want to describe it.
Yeah. I see, and as somebody who really loves lore and game universes, I think Melee was kind of the ultimate love letter to that as well. So that's where I was able to find an in, and then I was able to appreciate all the other aspects where I feel like they've kind of gotten away from that in later iterations, but especially 4. I feel like Super Smash Bros. 4, and I'm sure a lot of this is old ground we've already touched upon last August, but I feel like Super Smash Bros. 4, which is my shorthand for 3DS and Wii U, is basically a game where Sakurai developed it with certain gamers in mind over others. And I feel like it is a game he tried to appeal to the competitive players, and of course, nothing is going to really match Melee at this point, so why bother? I don't know. You are more well-versed in this world than I am, so maybe you can explain it to me.
I would assume, and no one can know except for Sakurai, but I would assume that the original game, early in development, back when it was only a 3DS game, because the Wii U was added later as another thing on top of that development cycle.
Yes.
That he was going to make a game very much just like Brawl. And maybe it wouldn't have tripping anymore, because that was just like so obviously panned by everyone online. Like every single person uniformly hated tripping. Dumb idea. But other than that, pretty much Brawl, because it seemed like he really hit on something that he felt final in Brawl. He didn't feel necessarily that he had to return, but the idea of doing something portable, that was new enough to get him excited about it. So as the game got further along and it was announced and everyone got excited about it, and the Smash Melee community of esports people had gotten larger than it had ever been before, thanks to a documentary. If you've not seen it, I recommend it. It's called The Smash Bros, I think. It's like a multi-part documentary, free on YouTube, about various players and like their rise and fall in prominence. Very interesting stuff. That brought a lot of people into the competitive aspect of Smash, and that was probably at the worst possible time for Nintendo, right? Because they were making this game that was very much like the game that was the antithesis of the game they wanted. So all of this competitive stuff that you might see in Wii U, I kind of view it as like black pepper you can put on a potato to make it taste a little bit different. Like For Glory mode and the Omega stages and stuff like that. That to me doesn't feel like it jives very well with the design of the rest of the game. It's just this stuff that competitive players might want. And they did to a certain extent. But I think the actual thing competitive players would have wanted was for it to be developed with them in mind and the party people in mind as well. I don't think they necessarily need to be the only thing or even want to be the only thing that the game is thinking of when it's being developed. But it did feel like they were added in post, that stuff that appealed to competitive players. And that probably is disrespectful to how hard it is to make a game and how hard it is to just add something in post. But that is still my perspective on that. The core mechanics of the game are not designed with competitive people in mind. But this one might be. This is the thing that I'm saying. While it was maybe too late to change any of the design of Super Smash Bros. For 3DS or Wii U to actually coalesce more with what people are looking for in an esports game, or even just what people like Hyle Russell are looking for, or any of these things, this was the biggest time for Smash Brothers on the internet with the release of Wii U. Everyone's opinions were voiced, and they've heard all of them, I expect, because Nintendo does know what's going on online. and it was just too late. But maybe it's not too late this time. This is the optimism I'm having here. This was built from the ground up after everyone voiced their opinion. So we'll see what that does. I don't know. I don't know how much that's going to change everything. It may not change anything at all. But there is a chance for it to change this time, where looking back, there probably wasn't ever a chance it was going to change for Wii U.
You know, I think, and I don't think I know, a lot of my aversion towards, another Smash Brothers for the Switch, okay, is that, you know, I am just burned out on the hype cycle of Smash Brothers. Mm-hmm. I don't know, I find it cynical and a bit torturous that, it was prevalent in Brawl, but I think really took it to another level. Everything like the character campaigns, the fan base wars that were going on, the fake leaks. Oh my god, the fake leaks. Just stuff that you can tune out. I realize you can tune this out. This has no bearing on the final product at the end of the day, but it's when you're kind of running a very, very small gaming media empire, you can't tune it out. And so and shamefully, I do kind of get into it. It starts to become like a sports event where you're rooting for the home team. And in this case, my home team was Donkey Kong. And, you know, so, and things like the Smash ballot did not help matters, mm-hmm. especially when, you know, there is all this controversy of, certain characters might have gotten higher, but Sakurai and or Nintendo did not want them, so...
Yeah, to this day, we don't know. We still have no idea, other than that Bayonetta was probably kind of high.
Yes,
not number one, just kind of up there.
The very transparent wording of how they announced her kind of gave that game away. Mm-hmm. And, you know, look, if Shrek won, I sure as shit didn't want Shrek as a playable character. But
on the one hand,
I don't know.
In regards to the Smash ballot, before that Smash ballot came out, or right before it came out, but after it was announced, my thoughts on it were, this has no way of actually working. This can't possibly inform any decision they have at all, because it's just too late in design. Even though DLC characters were created after the actual game, it takes so long to add a single character to a fighting game. They kind of need to all be done at once, which is why the base roster for Super Smash Bros. For Wii U was created in 2.5 years, and then in another 1.5 after that, they only added like 7 new characters. Every additional character increases the workload so much in terms of, like, you need to test it with everything else, and that number grows exponentially. So I never assumed that the ballot would actually mean anything until they started saying that the ballot would mean something, and then I assumed, did you figure something out that I just don't know about in terms of, like, development pipeline? And they didn't. Like, it turns out they didn't. It's very clear that all the characters on that list were things that either were probably already in talks with other companies, or just something they wanted to do because they wanted to do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's why I almost wish the Smash ballot... Not almost wish, I retroactively very much wish the Smash ballot was just a pre-approved selection of characters that you could vote for in a poll, you know, one time, without any of this... write an essay on why this would be a great character, and this... It got people excited, but it inevitably disappointed people in the end. So manage your expectations, please. Manage your expectations. And I say that for Nintendo to help us manage our expectations, and to the fans to please, this time around, let's all manage our expectations. And maybe this can be more harmonious than 2013 into 2014 was. I don't know. And I realize this is all kind of irrelevant to, do you enjoy the final game? But for me, I can't totally separate ever the build from the build to the last Smash Brothers game with the final product. Maybe in the future I can.
Well,
Maybe
I think
it
the
can be
reason
like,
that is the case with Smash Bros. And maybe not the case with, like, you know, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. We're not thinking about the build-up to that game anymore. We're just thinking about the game. The reason Smash Bros. Is like that is because the possibility of DLC doesn't end, right? Especially nowadays, like, post-Brawl, things have DLC now, and maybe your favorite character didn't get in the game. Are you going to stop campaigning for that character? No. You need to keep going. You don't get a break. You need to keep going the whole time. Even if you're not, like, outwardly campaigning like some of the K-Rool fans are on Twitter, you're thinking about it in the back of your head, like, man, wouldn't it be cool? Banjo this time, right? Definitely this time. It just doesn't stop. And that is draining, but I can't say... I know a lot of people are burnt out on it. I feed on it. It's my favorite, Hyle. I love it. I love the controversy. I love the arguments. It's just fantastic. I love the YouTube video analysis stuff. It's great.
Look, I admit it's a lot of fun when you really get into the fervor of it, the frothy fervor of it. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of fun. And the only problem is when you walk away with nothing to show for it, then that's just going to... You know, I liken it to the famous Bilbo Baggins quote, where being in possession of the ring for so long left him feeling like butter spread too thin on a piece of toast. You know, That's the way my soul feels after Smash 4. Of course, I would use vegan butter naturally because of the aforementioned lactose intolerance. Something like Country Crock. And I'm saying Country Crock, Sakurai. I'm not saying Country Crock, like crocodile. So don't worry.
I don't know if he speaks English, but I hope he got the subtlety of that pun.
Oh, he and I are tight now. He listens to this show. He may not understand it, but he listens to it, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's just like some background music he puts on in his car.
It's soothing. It's like white noise.
It's very white noise, yeah.
I don't understand what the babbling brook is trying to tell me, but I know it helps me sleep at night, so I play it on my machine. All that being said, I brought this up a little bit last episode. I am trying to be a little bit more mature this time around. It's part of my whole, self-growth, constantly improving, look at my own faults and trying to be a better person. What is the meaning of life? I believe it is to become the best person you can possibly be. And part of that is, okay, here's a test. Here's a new Smash Brothers game. How are you going to react to it? As fun as it is to, root for the home team and view everybody else as the enemy, I don't know if I have it in me. And quite frankly, I don't know if the same circumstances that existed in 2014 would really allow me to get that invested in it again. Because for one, I've got a very thriving Rare community again. 2014 was right after Tropical Freeze came out, but Rare was still viewed by a lot of people as moribund, essentially. As Connect Sports Rivals had come out, preceded by 2 other Connect Sports games. It bombed, there were layoffs, and people were just saying Rare is dead, so, we got to get our kicks somehow, and getting K-Rool into Smash Brothers, or even Banjo-Kazooie, that just seemed like, that would be great. That would be a validation of of all of the years we spent invested in this. But, now we got Sea of Thieves, Ukulele was a thing last year.
Yeah.
Platonic is actively working on something right now, and it just feels like I don't really need K-Rool and Smash Brothers quite as much as I did in 2014. I don't need Dixie Kong. I don't need Banjo, but at the same time, I would still really like to see that, and it would be kind of, I don't know, fan base affirming to have them make it in. But another point is, would K-Rool being in Super Smash Bros. 4 have made me, would that make me enjoy the game anymore? And only marginally so, because I think at the root, I did not enjoy Super Smash Bros. 4 whatsoever. I find it to be a slog in almost every respect.
Well, so, I have a philosophy that drives my game hype. for things that have a lot of various parts to them. In this case of Smash, it would be characters, but it can apply to other things. If I get my favorite thing in, I gotta calm down. Like that is the philosophy. And like, yeah, obviously you got your favorite thing in, you're good, but it doesn't actually feel like that when it happens. Like Pokken Tournament. I'm a big Pokemon fan. I didn't actually like Pokken Tournament that much, but in the hype to it, I thought like I could like it. I have no idea. I like Pokemon. My favorite Pokemon is Gengar. And when Gengar was announced for Pokken Tournament, I kind of had to just be like, there are a lot of other roster picks I could argue for or against. There are a lot of things I'd also like to see. I got my favorite thing, though. I gotta shut up. Like, I can't campaign for other things. I can't be disappointed that something else wasn't there. Now, for the case of Smash, my favorite thing from the beginning until now would still be Banjo. So I'm a little out of luck there. Yeah. I kind of have to keep thinking about it. But I imagine for like, not to say that you should think one way or another, but this game has Diddy Kong in it. Like this game, not Smash 5, because I mean probably, but we're talking about Smash 4. As much as it didn't have K. Rool, it did have Diddy Kong. And just because that's not new anymore, I feel like that is the kind of thing that we need to curb dismissal of. Like, it is still cool that Diddy Kong's in this game, in my opinion. It's to want something new every time is self-destructive.
Part of that is just, why does Donkey Kong only have 2 characters when we have this expansive cast of characters? And it starts getting into, like I said, if you identify with this franchise, if it's your favorite, I'm grandfathering Banjo and Kazooie into that since they were technically spin-offs. But, you know, it becomes this thing where, well, Mario has 8 characters. I forget the actual number. Just bear with me. Or you know, well.
Yeah.
Fire Emblem has this many characters. Kid Icarus has 3 characters. How does Donkey Kong only have 2? So it does become this sort of thing where you've got to keep up with the Joneses. You know, your neighbors have a new satellite dish, or they have this new car. You've got to go out and get the same thing. And you start to identify your self-worth as a fan with how it's being represented in Smash Brothers. And look, this is like a bigger problem I have with Smash Brothers in general, in that it seems like Smash Brothers used to be a way to celebrate Nintendo, a very cool, novel way that we dreamed about since we became Nintendo fans. And now it seems like all of Nintendo and almost all of video games in general exist to serve the beast that is Smash Brothers, where whenever a new game is announced, people are automatically speculating. I remember when Splatoon was first announced, people started speculating day one how this could be integrated into Smash Brothers.
In defense of that one, that was just obvious. I mean, that's...
Well, okay.
Well, actually, why don't we get into the trailer? Because that's a pretty good segue.
I feel like we're just airing our grievances, or I'm airing my grievances, and you're explaining your philosophies. And I feel like we're not really treating any new ground here, especially when this game probably won't come out till November, and I don't know how we're going to do multiple podcasts about it.
There's actually many people thinking that it's September for reasons that we will get into later, I'm sure.
Okay,
but the trailer. Let's talk about it.
Yes.
It was part of a Nintendo Direct that was about a week ago now, and it followed a Splatoon 2 Direct. Splatoon 2 is getting this, I think it's really cool, expansion called the Octo expansion, where you explore some of the lore of the Splatoon world that's more focused on the Octolings, which are the enemies to the characters you normally play as, the Inklings. They're in the name, I'm sure you can tell if you weren't already aware, they are octopus-based, while the Inklings are squid-based. So that was really cool, and that got people just in the mindset of thinking about Splatoon. And then the Nintendo Direct closed by having Koizumi talk to a Splatoon lab guy. Koizumi very much seems to be the new Iwata in terms of driving Nintendo Directs, and I'm happy about that. Koizumi's great. And then he says, "We're all done. That was it. Oh, but one more thing. You got another present behind the Christmas tree. You thought you were done, you stupid bitch. You got to listen to the one more thing we got." And it turned out to be a trailer. Because it was primed with you thinking about Splatoon, and it opened with Inklings having a Splatoon battle. I'm sure the intention was that you think it's Splatoon. Did you watch this in real time, Hyle?
I did, and the thing I'm glad you brought this up, because in retrospect, I did admire the way they revealed this, because comparing this, I guess, character reveal trailer to all of them from Smash 4, which became a grand tradition with Smash 4, these character reveal trailers, so much so that we all fantasized again about what would be the character reveal trailer if a character we really wanted to see got into the game. But what I really liked about it was, while all those were obviously in service to Smash Brothers and introducing a new character, this one, the reveal was Smash itself.
Yeah.
So it was kind of flipping the script a bit, in that we all were already inundated with Splatoon, and then all of a sudden, oh, here's Smash. Because the Inklings being in Smash, that was a foregone conclusion. Whenever we get a new Smash product, the Inklings would, of course, be the first character announced for it.
Yeah.
It was just,
I think we talked about that on the last time I was here to talk about Smash. I think the thing we landed on is, whatever else they put in the game, it's like some percentage. The thing we're absolutely sure on is that Inklings are coming and Ice Climbers are coming back. And I still think that's the case. That's still like the 100% put your money on it, but all of your bets, that can't be wrong.
And honestly, I would be super pumped to see the Ice Climbers back. Like that's one of my biggest grievances with Smash 4, in that it was watered down in some respects because of the 3DS version, and I just didn't feel like it was fair to Smash Brothers. But anyway, especially when there's no point in having a 3DS version. Okay, but yeah, the Inklings wouldn't have had any surprise or delight in being announced for Smash. So to have the Smash reveal be the big surprise was an excellent way of handling it. So I applaud them there. So you see the Inklings, and then the fire Smash emblem. Do we have an official name for whatever the Smash emblem is, or is it just the Smash logo, the Smash ball?
I call it the Alabama because it's a burning cross, but no, I don't think we have an official name for it.
Oh. The last Smash Brothers episode you were on was right after Charlottesville, so
man.
that was really cool, and you had all of those characters kind of hidden. I didn't notice the characters at the bottom of the burning Smash ball at first. All of the silhouettes, the MST3K-esque silhouettes of them. I didn't notice that at first until afterwards. People were pointing out. It, obviously, like they focused then on Mario and Breath of the Wild Link. So we know it's a new iteration of Link, who will play the same way, of course. But yeah, you saw like the Birdie Smash Ball, and it was Smash 2018, and it was simple, it was effective, and for me, I was rolling my eyes just because not because of the trailer, not even at the prospect of new Smash Brother, just at the start of the cycle. The cycle begins anew, and I could have gone another year. I could have gone another 2 years before we started all this again. So
it really felt like being thrown into a freezing pool. Like you just didn't expect. You were getting ready to be like, maybe I'm gonna swim in that pool. Like it'll be time soon. I'm expecting to have to go back in. But then someone just pushes you and is like, I didn't think it was gonna be right now, and it's right now. Now we're in it. We're definitely swimming in the frozen shitty ice pool that is Super Smash Brothers hype and discussion. But did the trailer get you? Did you think it wasn't Smash?
Oh yeah, I was not anticipating that whatsoever until the burning ball in the eye.
Yeah, I wish I could say that. As soon as they said in one more thing, if they do a one more thing, it needs to be like something really big. And this was a play on the original from back in E3 2014, I think. The original Splatoon trailer. It was just one orange inkling against a white background, and because it was that, I was either thinking this can either be like Splatoon 1 on 3DS or something, like a remake of Splatoon 1, which seems like something that they would never do, considering that they want to push that Splatoon 2 is the definitive thing to go and try. Or it can be Smash Brothers, because the only other thing that would be big enough that we know of right now to be a one more thing kind of reveal would be that Pokemon game that's coming out for Switch, but I still think it's way too early, or Metroid 4, which I also thought was too early, or Animal Crossing, which I suppose it could have been, but that wouldn't be Splatoon, that wouldn't be Inkling. So I was pretty sure it was Smash from the beginning.
I knew it was going to be Splatoon related because they had the Splatoon guy in the lab coat there, like nodding along. So I knew it was going to be related to Splatoon. I was thinking it was going to be, because Nintendo's kind of branching out now, or trying to branch out in other media. So I thought it might be Splatoon, the animated series, or something fanciful like that, because that seems like it would be the kind of property that would get an animated series at this point, or some sort of non-video game tie-in. So that's where my head was at, and I just wasn't ready for Smash Brothers, because Smash Brothers is a thing that can be constantly rumored, and you just tune it out, because Smash rumors and hoaxes are a dime a dozen, even in the off season. So yeah, whatever.
Yeah, that's true. But the Inklings' connection to Smash and the existence of Smash itself weren't the only things revealed in the trailer. There's some more subtle stuff going on. They showed close-ups of Mario and Link, and they showed everyone else from like a distance being silhouetted by the Alabama, and Mario looked like Mario, which is that would have been obvious. But Link looked like Link appears. He looked like how he appears in Breath of the Wild, rather than Twilight Princess, which was the inspiration for his design in both Brawl and Wii U. And that means something. That means that to a lot of people, they're interpreting this as evidence that this is not a port.
Well, yes, I'm glad you finally addressed the elephant in the room, and that's what the hell is this game? Because it seems like it has an awfully quick turnaround time if it's not a port. And Nintendo's MO seems to be, let's crank out a port from the Wii U onto this system as that franchise's inaugural game on the Switch, because nobody played the Wii U. And we want to, it's an easy way to recoup losses and all that development time and money invested in these games that maybe didn't perform to the expectations we would have liked. Now we can basically double dip, or more than double dip in the case for the Switch port. So
yeah, financially, it would have been fine to do a port. It would have been pretty acceptable. It would mean that most of the features that you would have from Super Smash Bros. Wii U, including, most importantly, characters and stages, would be very easily portable to the new game. And it just doesn't seem like that to me. Not necessarily because of Link looking different. I suppose they could just add a new skin for Link, and that could be what that reveal meant to the old game. What really does it to me and really sends the message that this is not a port necessarily there's three things. One, the logo is different. It wouldn't make sense to me if the 3DS version and the Wii U version had logos that played off of each other, and then the Switch version, which would have been just a third of that system of Smash Bros. Games, didn't have that logo. It's part of the brand identity that each Smash Brothers has, it would be weird to not have that same logo. And this logo is actually reminiscent of Melee and Brawl's logo because it has all the letters slide onto screen really quick. That's something that happened in the intro to Melee and Brawl, but not Wii U or 3DS. Just a fun fact right there. The other, the second...
That was fun.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. The second fact that is making me think it's not a port is the theme, the music that plays when the Inkling girl finally sees the... I'm just going to keep calling it the Alabama. It's the Alabama forever now. She sees the Alabama and there's like chanting in the background. If you isolate that chanting, which some YouTubers have done, thanks YouTubers. I definitely don't remember your specific names, YouTubers. There's too many of you. But some of them have done that, and it's not any song. It's not any song that we know of. It's not a remix of the theme to either 3DS or Wii U. It's not a remix of a theme to a previous Smash Brothers game. It's a completely new song. So between those two things from the trailer, I think this is a new game. And then there's also the fact that Sakurai tweeted about him, again, being in charge of the development of this game, and that he's been working on it for a long time now. And if this was a port, I don't think he would be talking in that way. I think he would be saying, yeah, we're bringing it back, the same game, but with a bunch of new characters and additions. So that's what I think. What do you think?
Well, I'm a bit confused by this because wasn't Sakurai rendered an invalid by the development of the last Smash Brothers? I seem to recall him breaking himself and basically being put out the pasture. He was shot afterwards because he was of no more use to Nintendo. That's my recollection of events. How could he, one, recover from that fatigue and physical desolation so quickly, and two, how could he then turn around a game? Like, he would have to have started this almost immediately after Smash 4's DLC cycle ended, or even before that. Like, I don't get it. If this game is coming out this year, how could it not just be an enhanced port of what we got last time?
So, two things. Yes, Sakurai was physically dying because of the development of Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS. Melting away at his wrists. Just little nubs there left by game development as a devil. But you also got to keep in context that Kirby was created when he was like 20. He was so young. So he's not like so old that something like that can just kill his hands forever. He's still got some time before his hands actually start melting, I assume. Maybe he's way worse than anyone would think, but that is how I interpreted that. But the other thing is that
we here on DK Vine we've coined him as the eternally youthful man candy. Mm-hmm. And we've speculated that he bathes in the blood of virgins in order to stay youthful. So that's my explanation. I reject the notion that he was 20 when he developed Kirby. I'm pretty sure he's always been physically in his mid-30s to early 40s.
Mm-hmm. That's probably true. By the end of the development on this game, he'll probably be like 12.
Sure.
Yeah.
He's Benjamin Buttoning, and you know, that's maybe one reason why Smash Brothers keeps getting worse, in my opinion, because he's regressing.
He's just getting younger and younger. He'll eventually forget how to use a computer.
I think the picture that Sakurai himself painted of himself, I'm not trying to bring in a Dorian Gray analogy into this to further complicate things, but I'm sure like the oh woe is me, I am physically distraught and unwell. I'm sure that was maybe a bit overdone. I mean, I'm not trying to dismiss any of the physical hardships he went through while developing Smash 4, but I also don't think there was a lot of fan speculation that Sakurai was just out and out going to retire after Smash 4, and he was going to be taken to the farm upstate, and I don't think he was as unwell as the fans hyped. I think he is probably far more healthy than we know or we know. But it's still surprising because I was saying when Smash 4 came out that it would have definitely been Sakurai's last Smash Brothers, and I was saying that up to last year. Like I thought he had said all he wanted to say about Smash Brothers, and he himself was so discouraged by the reaction, and he would just want to move on to something else. And to see him coming back at least suggested to me that, oh, this is probably just an enhanced remake. This is just a port. This is just combining the 3DS and Wii U versions with a few new characters and some bells and whistles.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from. But here's a thing that is difficult to think about. But we keep getting older, and every previous year gets a little bit shorter and shorter and shorter, because as we get older, instead of a year being all of your life when you're 1 year old, or a tenth of your life when you're 10 years old, or a 30th of your life when you're 30 years old, it is whatever you are now under one. So it doesn't really feel like it. But Hyle, get this. If this game comes out at the end of this year, it will have been 2.5 years since Bayonetta was revealed for DLC. It will be that long. So the game could have been in development just that whole time, and that's a 2.5 year development cycle, which is the total of what 3DS and Wii U got. So to say that there's just not enough time to make this a new game, it's been done. It was done last time. It's enough time. It feels very recent, but
I think it's relative to say it was done last time. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yes, time does speed up. It feels like just yesterday Donkey Kong Country Returns came out for me. So that is a great point. Mm-hmm. I guess part of it is just your own expectations. I wasn't expecting a new Smash Brothers. I was expecting this to be a cobbled together remake, another Wii U to Switch product, and if it is completely brand new, well, oh my god, that's pretty damn surprising, and that's a check mark in the excitement column for me as far as getting me invested in this game. Because if it was just the Wii U version with, the 3DS elements added to it, then I don't think I could get excited about this game, because I've already expressed how little of a fan I was of the product. Characters aside, I just didn't care for the game and what it did,
right.
Specifically the stages, which I think the majority were incomprehensible nonsense, and then the Omega modes just made them flat and boring, and there was no middle ground, which is what Melee was all about, was that fantastic middle ground between a really elegant fighter and giddy chaos.
So what I say when I say not a remake, and I do think it's a sequel, is likely to be misinterpreted by a lot of people. Okay. There's some people out there that are saying, like, if they use the physics engine from Super Smash Bros. Wii U, it would not be considered a sequel. It would be considered part of a port. And I think that's kind of ridiculous. That would be like saying Majora's Mask is a remake of some sort, or a port of some sort of Ocarina of Time. And it's not. That's a full sequel. That is a sequel.
Or keeping it in tune for our audience, Donkey Kong Country 2 is just a remake of Donkey Kong Country, or Banjo-Tooie is just a remake of Banjo-Kazooie. Yeah, that's absurd, and I completely agree with you.
Yeah, and if that's what you mean when you say it's a port, then I suppose you're probably right in that case. I think it will have the fighting engine, the physics engine of Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, which is something that previous Smash Bros. Have generally not done. Each game has had its fully unique, specifically created physics engine for that game. So in that way, there will be more carried over from Wii U, probably, if my assumption is correct, than has been done in the past. But it's not... If that's all it takes to make it a port instead of a sequel, I guess it's a port. But I'm sure they'll add tons of new characters, tons of new stages, new modes specifically. If we're just going to get into it right now, I think an adventure mode will come back.
Really?
Yeah. I think it was a glaring absence in 3DS and Wii U.
It made me want to drink some absinthe.
Whoa.
But,
alcohol.
Yeah. Now, by adventure mode, do you mean more in the style of Melee, or do you mean like full-on subspace emissary?
No idea.
That
mode? Much I have no clue.
Okay.
They could.
All right.
I mean, if that's what the bulk of the new stuff in this game is, maybe it is. Maybe that's just where they've been putting their time and effort.
Yeah, I mean, I would love if they concentrated more on the single-player experience, because in the past, that's been what's been fantastic about Smash Brothers. It's been a great party game, obviously, and obviously people have been able to develop, these very comprehensive tournaments and competitive styles of gameplay. But it's also been a game you can just pick up and enjoy by yourself. There's been enough ways to play it that it's fun for everyone, no matter where you are in your station in life. And yeah, Smash 4 definitely didn't have that. As a single player experience, it sucked, especially the Wii U version. It was just god awful. Whatever the hell they had in there in the place of an adventure mode was just miserable. And I didn't like Smash Run either on the 3DS. I thought that was just...
Yeah. It was better than the board game one, but it's still whatever. I don't give Brawl a lot of credit, but something I will say Brawl did well is that it represented all of the different kinds of games that go into Smash Brothers.
Yes.
Like, if you're that single player, like, epic kind of game fan, like a Legend of Zelda, that's your jam. You can play Brawl that way. Or if you're into Mario Party and it's just like a party casual thing to you, you can play Brawl in that way. Or if you like the arcade nature of a Star Fox game, you can play Brawl in that way. And Wii U is very much like there's a specific way to play. And I don't think it's necessarily the worst, but it's one thing where it used to be many things, right? So that's something I'm hoping for. That's a hope. That's not an expectation. That's a hope that they return somehow to cater to their various demographics that would be more in tune to the actual demographics of the games they're sourcing characters and stages from.
Yeah, my hopes are... And I'm not even going to get into characters here, because obviously anybody who knows me knows which characters I want. So I feel like that's old, tired ground that nonetheless I'll be walking over quite a bit as we approach the release of the game. But what I hope is for, again, like you said, an experience that can be enjoyed by gamers of all types. I hope for better stage design that, again, is a middle ground between the two we got in Smash 4. And I hope that it's less about what's new and what we need to promote for Nintendo in 2018 and more about celebrating the totality of Nintendo's history, including eras that have been generally overlooked. And I feel like Smash 4 definitely got away from that. Aside from a few classic inclusions, it was basically the NES era and then what's new for Nintendo in 2014.
Yeah. Or weirdly, the PS1 era.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I feel like as a gamer of the 16-bit and 64-bit era, well, that's when I came of age. I feel like that era is just criminally underrepresented, not in characters, in stages, in trophies, in just the general celebrations you get in Smash Brothers. I feel like maybe we have breathing room now that like the Splatoon characters are in it, now that there really hasn't been too much in the way of new Nintendo properties. Obviously, we're going to get an Odyssey stage, probably New Donk City, but there hasn't been too much in the way of stuff that we need to get in the next Smash Brothers since Smash 4. So maybe they can breathe and go back and kind of fill in the gaps a bit.
Yeah. In regards to third-party characters, it's not a decision I would have made to have them in Smash Brothers, but the more time goes on, the more I am at peace, I'll say, with the inclusion of third-party characters, because I think that many of the characters, not all of them, but many of the characters they've chosen are in fact Nintendo All-Stars. That like is Cloud. The metric I've always used. I think Mega Man is definitely a Nintendo All-Star. It's hard to say he's not, right? He defined the NES almost as much as like Link or Mario. I think that Sonic at this point is a Nintendo All-Star. I think that Bayonetta is actually a Nintendo All-Star, despite the fact that she's like a newer thing with not that many games. She's a Nintendo exclusive third-party thing that's gotten a lot more popular. And it's just things like Cloud, man. Cloud is where it just like I can't internalize with it anymore, because I don't know what you're trying to say with the third-party characters anymore. Be consistent. Because if you're saying Bayonetta is like one of the things you would add, you're saying that the Nintendo part is more important than the All-Star part for third-party characters, which is fine, because she's not like an All-Star in all of video games, but in terms of Nintendo, yeah, for sure. And with Cloud, it's the opposite. Not a Nintendo thing whatsoever, very much associated with one console, and that one console is the PlayStation 1. But is a video game all-star. Cloud is a notable face. So if they wanted to do just one of those or the other one, I don't think it's my decision to make. But consistency is something I can judge. And Cloud doesn't fit. And Cloud is actually the only character... I should have brought this up. When I said that I think they're bringing back the fighting engine, that would mean to me that it would also be very easy to bring over pretty much every character. The only characters I can't see, or I'm not going to say I can't see them coming. I can definitely see them coming over. The ones I can see not coming over are Cloud, and that's because of licensing issues, not because of my personal... People will say vendetta. I know G-Man thinks that I'm very unfair. And the Miis, because Miis are no longer part of the Switch's architecture as wholly as they were in the Wii U. They're still around, for sure. But Miis aren't... And
they still represent a part of Nintendo history, so I would be disappointed if the Mii fighters were excluded. Because, again, it shouldn't be just about what Nintendo is today. It should be about what Nintendo has been 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 100 years ago. Like, let's let... The whole history. That's what's so great about Smash Brothers. It's about nostalgia and also, what's hot today. I would argue it should be more about nostalgia than the because at least we know the things that we're nostalgic for can stand the test of time, and it seems less weirdly just out of place. Like I would argue like the other Kid Icarus characters outside of Pit just like looking back, like really, I don't know, and that's just my opinion, But of course, I have a very skewed opinion, as I freely admit. So, but as far as third-party characters go, I think you and I are in agreement. In Brawl's build-up, I did not want third-party characters at all. I did not want Sonic at all, and I eventually came around to it. It's just something, okay, I can see the point that even if Nintendo does not own certain characters, or they were never Nintendo characters, there is an importance that these characters have to Nintendo. Maybe not so much Sonic, that's a bad example, but definitely Mega Man. Pac-Man, you can make the argument for. And
I'd say Pac-Man probably as much as Sonic at this point.
Ryu from Street Fighter, sure.
It was a big deal on the Super Nintendo.
Not so much Snake and Cloud, but...
Yeah, Snake and Cloud. At least with Snake, there are Metal Gear Solid or just Metal Gear games on Nintendo consoles. There are a number of them. I don't think there might be like 5 or 6 of them across different Nintendo consoles. That's a big deal. That's kind of a thing. Especially right after Brawl came out after Twin Snakes, which is a remake of the original Metal Gear Solid that came out for GameCube. That was kind of a big deal too, because apparently that was Kojima's like original vision for Metal Gear Solid 1. So I can I see it. I would argue still not a Nintendo guy.
I mean, it's a stretch, especially I think
not just third-party characters, but like specifically more associated with a different console.
Yeah, I think the reason it left a bad taste in my mouth initially was that we were introduced to it via Sonic and Snake, where Snake was a stretch, and Sonic was always the arch rival of Nintendo. It would be like Bugs Bunny being in a Disney fighting game, you know? Mm-hmm. Sure, Mario and Sonic have gone to the Olympics many of the time since then, but at the end of the day, it's still kind of, it feels off, especially before Bomberman, before Mega Man, Simon Belmont from Castlevania.
Right.
Those are the characters I think definitely deserve. Banjo-Kazooie, absolutely, because they used to be owned by Nintendo. They used to be Nintendo characters for 4 years or 5 years, given the announcement of Banjo-Kazooie in summer of 97. So, there are characters that definitely deserve it more than some of the characters we've gotten, but I have made peace with third-party characters. I just don't like when they... Now, obviously, fans are angling for any character from pop culture, and that's where I draw the line. Like, it has to be a video game character. For the love of God, let's not put Batman in Smash Brothers or something. And even then, you say, well, what about all the video games that Batman's been in? It's not the same, and you know it, people. So shut up.
Yeah, there's many fans of Goku out there, legitimate, not as a meme or anything. And then actually as a meme, Shrek has been tossed around. The trouble is that it's not like Nintendo doesn't get along with third parties at all. Definitely definitely less than Sony. Sony has a better relationship with third parties than Nintendo does. But there are
Nintendo's
good
doing
choices.
better.
That's the toughest thing to swallow. It's not like, well, we did all the good choices and then we did Cloud because we were out. There are more. So do you want to hear my super conspiracy theory, high hope, tinfoil hat theory?
About Smash for Switch.
About Smash for Switch, yeah.
Okay, well, I love conspiracy theories, especially in 2018. They're just so much fun and nobody gets hurt. So let's hear your conspiracy theory.
Yeah, it's weird how they are totally fine all the time. Here's my conspiracy theory. Both Nuts and Bolts and Banjo-Tooie allude to a 20th anniversary thing. Now, when I bring this up, people are quick to say, do you really think they saw that far ahead? No. I don't think they were planning anything at all. I just think that because they called that shot from such a long distance away, that maybe once it is actually that time, they would want to do something. Not a full new game, just something, right? Well, the 20th anniversary of Banjo-Kazooie happens to be this June, which is also when E3 is. I think as a really cool E3 thing, Nintendo could announce Banjo in Smash. That would be the dream. That's a high hope. I don't actually think it's going to happen. It's just the conspiracy theory. That way, it also frees up Rare from having to actually make something with Banjo in it, which I'm sure they wouldn't be able to do because of how busy they're going to be with the ongoing Sea of Thieves project for probably a number of years.
My only argument against that conspiracy, as much as I would be for it, as much as it would delight me, as much as I would wet my pants in delight and take that any which way you want. Mm-hmm. In that, what substance would I be wetting my pants with? What bodily fluid? It could be anything. But my problem with that is it has to go two ways. I think Phil Spencer, I think Rare, I think they would be absolutely 100% on board with it. I think the Nintendo offices in Redmond would try to make it happen. I don't see it being a primary concern of Sakurai or Bandai Namco.
Right, I agree.
I think they wouldn't care. And I think, and this is still a little bit of lingering bitterness left over from Smash 4, because that very much felt like everything that Namco wants in Smash Brothers and everything that Sakurai wants in Smash Brothers. And we're not really going to tailor it much more to what our global audience wants in Smash Brothers. And I think that's where Cloud came from. Cloud was Sakurai's dream character, and he got him. That's great, but is it appropriate for Smash Brothers? That's another question. And who am I to say what's appropriate for a game I didn't develop? I understand that's fan entitlement, sure. This is why I hate discussing Smash Brothers, Mitchell, because it brings out the ugliness from within, and I'm trying to be a better person. I'm trying to be more enlightened than I was just a few years ago. So I don't know. I want to believe in your conspiracy theory, but the second I start believing, the second I start believing in it, then I'm invested in a fantasy. And when that fantasy doesn't become true, I will become somebody like who did not enjoy The Last Jedi and decided to send death threats to Rian Johnson. You know, I wouldn't go that far, obviously, but I feel like fan entitlement and it has become so corrosive to fandoms in general that, you know, Smash Brothers, you know, I don't want to become part of the problem this time around.
Now, to counter.
Okay.
Wouldn't it be cool, though?
I mean,
it'd be really cool, right?
and it would be fantastic if K. Rool was playable and we got a Gangplank Galleon stage. And Dixie absolutely deserves to be in Smash Brothers. Cranky Kong would scratch so many itches I have for dream matches. You know, why not put in Crystal from Star Fox? She was popular for a few years. And then whenever, like, let's say, like, beyond my wildest dreams, or not my wildest dreams, because all of those would be my wildest dreams, but almost to my wildest dreams, we got, like, 3 out of the 5 or something. Then I would be so enraged we didn't get all 5 that, like you said, I couldn't focus on the good. I got my favorite character of all time, Diddy Kong, 2 Smash Brothers ago. Like, that should be enough to tide me over. It obviously doesn't. So what does that say about me? What does that say about the hype cycles behind Smash Brothers? I don't know. It's to the point, though, that I don't want to be a harbinger of pissiness anymore. And I have enough going on in my fandom. I have enough going for me now with Rare's revival, with the Rare Renaissance, with all of these purported plans for Donkey Kong, including a Tropical Freeze remake coming out a month before E3.
Right.
We got the Rabbids DLC coming out. We've got this big theme park.
By the way, I thought for sure they would give a release date for that Rabbids DLC during that Nintendo Direct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
Yeah, that's
weird.
A bit surprising, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, side note.
But yeah, anyway, like, I've got the Universal Studios Donkey Kong Country section in Super Nintendo World. You know, it really is one of the best times to be a fan of everything the Kongversation talks about. And I don't want Smash Brothers to bring me down. And really, it shouldn't be bringing me down, because why would it? I mean, right now, like, I'm looking to my left, I'm looking to my right. I've got like a Sea of Thieves controller sitting on my desk. I've got magazines with Sea of Thieves on it. I've got, I look behind me, I've got a mock-up ukulele N64 box. I've got so many things that I can hang my hat on right now. And yeah, if I don't get K. Rool in Smash Brothers, will I be disappointed again? I'm sure I will be, but I can't let it destroy me this time. I just can't. And you know what? It's not fair to Sakurai. If it doesn't fit his vision, then why should I be so entitled and whiny? And I will be judging the game whether it's fun to play. So, he better not fuck it up this time, but
so
anyway, why do you like Smash 4, Mitch? You are a big proponent of it, but I don't think we've really addressed this episode.
Why do I like Smash 4?
Yes.
Dark Pit, just really good.
No, really. Before we take listener calls, I want to know. I want to know, like, what was it about Smash 4 that appealed to you? Because I just don't like it. Aside from characters, aside from my favorite franchise representation, I just don't think it's fun to play. So what do you find fun? Help me, Mitch. I want to enjoy it. I want to pick it up tonight and say, wow, I was wrong. Help me.
I got it when I was in college, and just the social structure that college allows for means that I just have people to play it with all the time, and I don't anymore, really. But when I did, it was really fun to just play with people. The core mechanic of fighting is a lot simpler than it was before, but also a lot more fulfilling than it was in Brawl, or I would argue N64. And also, weird thing, but even though I didn't necessarily love the range of picks in terms of representation of the new characters, some of those new characters are like my favorite to play as of all time. Mega Man is so fun to play as. Bowser Jr. is actually my favorite newcomer from Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. But I don't play as Bowser Jr., of course. I play as Ludwig because he's the real one. He's the real boy of mine. And just such a fun, like, mechanical thing. It broke down for me when I got out of that situation. And the only way I could consistently play it was online. And the online isn't great. I would have like fewer and fewer people over to my place, just because I'm dying very soon. That's what I like out of Smash for Wii U, and it's really hard when you remove the social aspect of it, because that is the thing. Brawl had a great way to supplement it. Melee had a pretty great way to supplement it. And it just isn't there anymore. And I really hope that is back for 5 Switch, whatever we're calling it.
That does explain it. Thank you, because I bought it when I had just turned 30, so I had no social structure surrounding that game's release. And you're right, the online was a bit shit. I know I played some matches on the 3DS with Chad, and we were I think we were basically left unfulfilled. Like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Anyway, so we have some calls to take. First, though, we have a brief interlude. Frequent Kongversation caller Mamechi has some opinions about Smash Brothers, and he asked me, "Hey, I have some things I want to say that go beyond a normal call." And I said, "I don't care anymore, and I'm pretty drunk while you're asking this, so sure." So here are Kongversation caller DK Vine icon Mamechi's thoughts on Smash. I have not listened to this ahead of time. Oh my god. I don't even know what to expect. Here we go. I'm sorry. I apologize in advance. Please don't unsubscribe to our YouTube channel.
Hello, Mitchell the Wolf and Hyle the Russell. It's me, Tony, your best friend in the whole world. Your only friend. That's right. Thank you, Hyle, for giving me this time to talk about Smash Brothers. Because I don't like it. Well, I do like it, but I also don't. You see, the first day when this game was announced, I wasn't taking it well, and I think everyone could say I just didn't take it well. You know what? I've grown out of that already. But I'm still kind of miserable. So I want to talk about the video game that we all know and love. I'm sure you do, Hyle. Called Super Smash Brothers for the Nintendo Switch, just announced during the Nintendo Direct that just came out. Could you believe that? It just announced out of nowhere. But again, thank you, Hyle, for letting me make this rant. I'm gonna make a very big hot take right now. I think Smash Brothers hype should be illegal. Now, it might sound crazy to you, but I'm gonna go a bit into this. Okay? There's just a lot of drama. You see, Hyle, I understand you and I, we're like brothers from another mother, which your mother is the DKU, my mother's the Wario Universe. I am at heart a Wario Universe fan. I love WarioWare, I love Wario Land, I love Rhythm Heaven. All of those part of the same universe. You see, it's very funny that how the two Mario spin-off, well, Donkey Kong's not really a Mario spin-off, but you get what I mean. These two series associated with Mario are spun off into their own thing. And to a lesser extent, Yoshi, but yeah, anyway, my point is, Hyle, I understand how you feel. I don't get what I want in Smash Brothers either. I don't get Banjo-Kazooie. I don't get King K. Rool. I don't get Dixie. It's not gonna happen. I want the Chorus Kids. I want Karate Joe. I want something. And last time, it just didn't give it to me, and it's an awful feeling, because, see, here's the thing. I know Donkey Kong's alive right now. He has a portive game coming out. He has DLC coming out. He's still alive. Rhythm Heaven and the Wario Universe. We're getting a new WarioWare this year. Maybe later we'll get a new Rhythm Heaven. We don't know when it's going to come or if it will. But it's still well remembered by people who like it. And at least WarioWare is coming out. But Smash Brothers is a whole different beast. It's like what validates your fandom in a sense. Because people want Banjo-Kazooie in Smash Brothers because it'll be awesome. But also might be for political reasons. Like it would bring back Banjo. Like maybe Microsoft would think, let's fund a Banjo game because of it. You know what I mean. Same thing for King K. Rool in Smash Brothers. That would make Nintendo think, hey, let's put King K. Rool back in Smash Brothers or in Donkey Kong games. But it's like a way to, validate your fandom. And I know that you don't really need to do that. Because, whatever. But it just feels weird. Because Smash Brothers, for me, it feels weird that the thing you like about Nintendo isn't represented. Because, Hyle, I know that you don't like Nintendo. I already know you don't, okay? You don't have to admit it. I don't know why you haven't bought Breath of the Wind yet. But just do it. But I like Nintendo more than you do, but I'm also a niche Nintendo fan in that my favorite Nintendo series of all time is something most people haven't played. And because of that, in Smash Brothers, when it doesn't really get anything, I kind of feel like, oh, okay, so I can't really geek out about this with Smash Brothers. But, it's like, why? Why does it have to affect us this? Because it's hype too. Because your brains are weird. I should know because I know psychologists, okay? I have a friend who wants to be a psychologist. Okay? You see, your brain starts to imagine things like, it starts imagining something like this. Oh my god. Smash trailer, you see the Smash symbol, the pew, and then the fire shows up, but when you see it, you see King K. Rool, you see Funky Kong, you see Dixie Kong, you see cranky, playable characters fighting against Donkey Kong or against some other character. You get to see this, and you say, oh my god, I want this so bad. And you do see it, but with other fandoms too. Like, Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem got all crazy stuff, okay? They got everything well, apparently, fandom isn't happy about everything either. But, point is, of course, it's this weird feeling that if you don't get what you want, then you feel left out. I know how you feel, Hyle. I think the games themselves are good, because, you can't go more wrong than beating people up. Well, unless the Donald Trump passes a no violence law, but still doesn't ban guns. You know what I mean? Political humor. But I guess the other thing that kind of bothers me about Smash Shoot does is Sakurai's declining health, because I think the guy's a great guy. I know I don't agree with him on his career decisions, but you know what? He works really hard, but at the same time, does he work too hard? Does he really have to micromanage every single little thing and get himself hand surgery or something? Because it's kind of scary, you know what I mean? But with that said, yeah. Thank you for giving this time to rant, Hyle. Thank you for listening, Mitch. Mitch, I'm gonna ask you something too. I'm gonna ask both of you something. Hyle, what would make you buy this game? Tell me what would make you buy it. Mitch, I want you, at this very moment, think about it. What if every newcomer isn't someone you want? How would you feel? I know you're more rational than me and Hyle, because we're both just weirdos with bad social skills, but I want to know how you would feel. How would you react if you didn't care about anything new in this game? Alright, that's all. Thanks for listening. Love you guys.
Yeah, I shouldn't drink so much. Okay, thank you, Mamechi, for the interlude.
So, Hyle.
Well, yes.
Do you want to know a secret?
Yes.
Because this audio file was a WAV file instead of an MP3 file, I couldn't open it with Firefox, and I tried different ways to open it, but I didn't. So I was just kind of sitting there in silence. I don't know what he said, but I'm assuming, because I know my friend Tony Mamech, as his Christian name is, I know him so well that I'm willing to guess what it was about. Tell me if I'm close.
It was about many things.
I could tell it was at least about a few things. Yeah. So Rhythm Heaven and Smash is the biggest thing.
Rhythm Heaven came up about half the time. Yes, but he was actually very, very nuanced about it.
Okay.
I was surprised. He is kind of trying to embrace a calmer philosophy, much like myself. So I was very, very happy to see.
Love that.
He mentioned about Sakurai's declining health, and and said he needed arm surgery, and then I just suddenly remembered how many ARMS characters we're probably going to get in the game, and then my previous statement of, it's probably going to be great because they're going to be able to go back in and fill in the gaps of eras they previously ignored, went out the window when I realized they can just add the entire cast of ARMS and call it a day. Not that I think they're going to do that, but it definitely kind of took a bit of a mick out of my previous hopes there.
My assumption is that the ARMS character, there will be one of them, and I do think it's kind of a shoo-in. It'll work like Bowser Jr. and the Koopalings does, so you could just switch between Springman and Ribbon Girl, and they all do the same thing.
Okay, well, can I bring something up about Link real quick? Why don't they have every Link that's been playable in Smash Brothers available as an alternate costume? Like Ocarina of Time, Adult Link. Twilight Princess Link, Breath of the Wild Link, and then maybe, add other links. Same thing with Toon Link, give young Link from Ocarina and Majora's Mask, put him in there as an alt. I don't know. Like, it would be nice if every reincarnation of Link could be playable as well.
Yeah, I get you. I kind of don't like the idea of I don't like what they did with Alf and Olimar. In Wii U, if you remember, Alf was an alternate costume. Right. I kind of don't like that because that's just a strictly different person. Well,
what about the Koopalings?
The Koopalings kind of like there's a point to it. Like I get why that is. Where with Alf and Olimar, it's just like no one was even. I don't think anyone was even asking for Alf. You could have just not done that, or you could have had Alf be a clone with like certain small differences, like with Dark Pit or Dr. Mario. That I would have preferred that as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Alf, the cat-eating puppet, got more requests than Alf himself. But
yeah, I mean, the Link idea is cool, but I view them as different people, so I don't know.
I mean, I don't like the alternate costumes, like the actual like physical different characters hidden as alternate costumes. I really don't like that aspect either, especially when we've got Dr. Mario as a separate character who just has a very, very minusculely different moveset, and that's somehow just like I feel like the philosophy behind Smash 4 too. It turned these characters not into characters, but these characters are movesets, and it seemed less up. I don't know. I feel like that's why it caters to the tournament crowd who view it more in that kind of matrix code of just hard stats versus somebody like me who views it in lore and all these worlds converging upon one another and it being a celebration of history. And I get into more of the fanciful artsy like philosophies behind Smash Brothers and not the cold hard mathematics of it. And I don't like the Koopalings as alts. I don't like Alf as an alt. I think Dr. Mario should be an alt. So I don't know. Am I alt right?
Oh
no, I'm probably alt wrong.
I don't know how much of this is tangent to what Mechi was talking about. Is like 100% tangent, or is it a little bit what he was talking about?
Oh, honestly, I don't know. I got an angry orchard during most of that call. Mechi, he asked, what would it take for me to get this game? And I'm going to get it. I mean, look, he said I'm not a Nintendo fan, so I have to dispute that. It's not that I'm not a Nintendo fan. I'm not going to relitigate all of that. But my point is, I'm going to get this game because it has Donkey Kong, because it has Diddy Kong, and because I played every other Smash Brothers game. So of course I'm going to get it. But
yeah.
What would make me enjoy it? What would make me a fan of it? What would make me say, by golly, this was a better Smash Brothers game than the last ones we got? It would be making it a more representative experience for everybody, so that no matter how we enjoy Smash Brothers, we can enjoy this one rather than being left on the outside looking in.
Sure.
And yeah. So I apologize. He sent it in some weird format, and for whatever reason, I could not save it as an MP3. So I apologize. It was in a wave, and I apologize that you use Firefox, which cannot play waves. Had I known that ahead of time, I would have accommodated you.
Yeah, I would have been able to do it. It was me. It was my fault for not thinking that through. I noticed that it wasn't an MP3 before we started, so it's all on me.
Okay, well, good. So long as I'm blameless.
Sure.
We do have some traditional calls to take that are much shorter, and I believe all of those are in MP3 format for you, so feel free to keep your browser window open.
Right.
Here we go with the first call.
Hi, Kongversation. It's Gothic Teddy Bear, also known as Kevin Folgers. Hyle, Mitchell, good to talk to you both. And now it's the discussion of Smash Brothers. So, anyways, Smash Brothers, yeah, how about that? Well, wow, we were all very surprised by that. Okay, so, obviously my biggest concerned, being an avid member of the Kremlin campaigner, is K. Rool's inclusion. Now, here's the way I see it for K. Rool to happen. If at E3 there's a new Donkey Kong game with King K. Rool, that trailer will be shown off, which will segue into the next trailer with King K. Rool getting into Smash. This idea has already been established with the Inklings when they showed off the Splatoon 2 DLC, and then they showed the Inklings Smash reveal trailer. Now, another thing to keep in mind was the whole idea that Inklings were Mii costumes before they were newcomers in this new game. And King K. Rool did not have any presence whatsoever in Smash 4, and neither did the Inklings. And now, a lot of the other Mii costumes had some kind of role in the game. Like, Chrom and Dunmon were final smashes for characters like Robin and Shulk, respectively. And, you know, Toad is Peach's B move. And there's all kinds of utilizations of Mii costume characters. But the likes of Inkling, K. Rool, and Geno were not present in the game in their actual form. And the hurdle for Geno is that Geno is owned by Square Enix. So is there hope for K. Rool to finally be a playable character? I'd say the odds are looking much more in favor of him this time around. I hate to say that, though, because, you know, got our hopes up last time. Now, there's a chance also for hopes of K. Rool. SAKURAI may not even be the director. We know he's involved with the game, but we don't know if he's director or not. So, anyways, time's running out. King K. Rool, I'll let you guys discuss that. Thank you.
Okay. Mitch, would you like to have first crack at this?
So, right. King K. Rool was a Mii costume in Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS. And I thought that was actually kind of, like, I know it upset a lot of people on DK Fine. I thought it was kind of cool. Mainly because I just didn't expect K. Rool. I kind of wrote it off as an impossibility. But this seemed to have been... I don't know how much Bayonetta was actually in response to the Smash ballot. The K. Rool Mii costume was actually in response to the Smash ballot.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And we were talking about this before. Now that they have the ballot and they've started this new game, maybe they can actually act on it. So yeah. I would say, very tentatively and with my fingers crossed and standing over the rim of the Grand Canyon, it is more possible than it was last time. Now, you brought up the idea of the Inklings, K. Rool, and Geno being like maybe more possible this time. Geno's biggest problem was never that he was a Mii costume. Geno's problem is that he's a one-off side character in a Mario RPG.
From 20 years ago.
Yeah, from 20 years ago, and there's been so many like other Mario RPGs. I understand that he's popular, but like Paper Mario himself, I would argue, is a much more likely inclusion.
Especially now that we have concrete, like in-universe, like evidence that he is an alternate reality version of Mario.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely.
It's the second kind of Mario that I wouldn't be mad at all. I'd like that second Mario in that case. But yeah, K. Rool, I think it's more possible than last time. The idea of a new Donkey Kong Country game with K. Rool as the enemy being revealed this E3 is unlikely. But
I don't know. I could definitely see a new Donkey Kong game. I could see a 3D Donkey Kong game being announced. Because I know Nintendo has something up their sleeves with Donkey Kong. No, I didn't say Retro has something up their sleeves, but I think Nintendo has something up their sleeves with Donkey Kong.
Would you think it's
but whether or not
next level, or who would do it?
I have no conception, nor do I have any leaks sent my way to tell me who it could possibly be. But whether or not they decide to tie that in to Smash Brothers, whether or not K. Rool returns in the next Donkey Kong game, I don't know. I could see it, and I think it's a greater possibility now than it was back in 2014. But honestly, I don't know. Like, you look at things like Sakurai indulging the K. Rool fans with the Mii costume in Smash 4. You look at, K. Rool being referenced as a street sign in New Donk City in Super Mario Odyssey. I feel like K. Rool's days of being ignored and treated as a non-entity by Nintendo are on the wane. I feel like inevitably he will return. And if they do it as a 1-2 punch of him as the main antagonist in a DK game and as a Smash Brothers reveal, that would be even better than him just coming back in Smash Brothers or winning the fan ballot last time around. I feel like it would be the kind of thrust that his character needs to return to prominence, and also to justify him being in Smash Brothers if we need some sort of modern day justification to get a character back. I know I said I want nostalgic characters and classic characters, and I just poo-pooed the idea of Geno. Geno was a one-off besides that secondary appearance he made in that other Mario and Luigi game. But, Geno's importance was never there. He's been a fan favorite, but I liken him to the Mario equivalent of Tip Top or something,
he's just like one of the party and we're probably angering a lot of Geno fans out there, but he was just like one of the characters in the party in Super Mario RPG. It's like in Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door, you had a suite of party members, and like one of them was a old salty pirate, or not a pirate, but like a sailor Babam named Captain Bobbery. It would be like him. Like, no, you can't just have that. It's so so small.
I understand characters in that are have a certain popularity in fan bases, and we tend to exaggerate their importance in our own heads. We do that at DK Vine as part of the gag. Like, we celebrate these characters and it's a little bit skewed in our case because then the creators also indulge us because we have a more direct line to the creators. So we get things like Royston popping up in myriad of places. But I don't think it's the case with Nintendo, and Nintendo's never been really one to do that. So give it up. Geno's never going to happen.
I think bringing it back to the Donkey Kong conversation.
Yes.
The good news is... Well, no, here's the bad news first. The bad news is that if you want a very specific Donkey Kong character, I think the odds are not in your favor. The good news is that if you just want another Donkey Kong character, I think there's 4 very likely choices. And we're also due for one. That adds up to a likely new Donkey Kong character.
What are the 4 choices? Because I can name 3 of them.
So the first is obviously K. Rool. The pros, he's very popular. Probably did well in the Smash ballot, although we'll never know.
But I think
has this modern resurgence
the evidence
we just
is
talked
in the
about.
Mii costume. So
yeah, in the Mii costume.
Yeah.
The cons, he doesn't seem to be used for modern Donkey Kong games anymore. And that definitely is a blow. Second, Dixie Kong. Pro, probably the 3rd most important Donkey Kong character, just at all, after Donkey and Diddy. Con, maybe would play too similarly to Diddy and would, in that case, be... Because she can't be a clone of Diddy because she doesn't do the exact same things, but she would be where half in between, and that's neither like exciting enough to be a newcomer or easy enough to just be a clone. But still, she's popular. Third is Cranky Kong. Pro's got a big boost with Tropical Freeze and has always been important to the series. Is important to Nintendo, being that it's the Donkey Kong from Donkey Kong Arcade. Cons, Nintendo doesn't think so. And really, he's only been playable in any large respect in one game, in Tropical Freeze. And the fourth, I think, is maybe, in my head, right now, the most likely... Funky Kong as a clone of Donkey Kong. Clones are very easy to throw in at the last minute. The build of the model of Funky Kong is very similar. It would work with all the same moves, except maybe turn that up B into swirling that surfboard around. I could see that happening.
Well, you've just sold me, so now I want K-Rool, Dixie, Cranky, and Funky all in the game, and I will be devastated when one of those doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Thank you for the call, Kevin.
Yeah, thanks.
And, you know, I will say this. I know my position in the fan base. I know as co-founder of DK Vine, as its editor-in-chief, as it were, right now, I have a responsibility to help rally the fans and get them excited about the possibility of these characters. So I don't want you to think I'm going to be shirking those responsibilities. I just want to be clear that I'm trying to come at it at a more healthy angle than I did last time. So I will be with you guys, you Kremlin campaigners, you. I just also need to keep my wits about me at the same time. I got drunk last time. And this time I need to just be a social drinker, but learn when to put the bottle away. Okay, I don't know. This analogy is getting away from me, so I'm gonna take this next call. Thank you.
What up? It's Angry Ancestor, aka the Big AA, the Big Double A, Evil and Medieval, the irate great grandfather, the mean green time machine. Wake up, people! You didn't listen to my fucking call stack call. The fuck? The one about me getting arrested in the Toys R Us? Anyways, so, let's talk about the music in Smash Brothers. It's not talked about a lot. I don't want to be cliche, you know? Smash Bros. It has this innate ability to bring attention to franchises and specific elements of those franchises to people who normally wouldn't give it, the time of day at all. I remember Brawl had that dope remix of Sticker Bush Symphony, and, obviously Donkey Kong is extremely popular. David Wise is pretty well known. Sticker Bush Symphony is extremely popular. But I think in Brawl, it kind of helped reintroduce that song into the mainstream a little bit. It introduced the song in the series probably to a lot of younger gamers, and it probably kind of helped non-believers realize how beautiful Donkey Kong can really be, and maybe cause them to give the series a second chance, So, if my question is, if you had to pick 3 songs from the DKU to be in the quote-unquote new Smash Brothers game, what would they be? Alright. See you in church.
Thank you for the call, Angry Ancestor. I'm sorry you were arrested in a Toys R Us. If you had just waited it out a couple of days, there would have been no Toys R Us to get arrested in.
Yeah, your bail would have gone on clearance too.
Oh, I'm really bummed about that.
Yeah,
I have so many fond memories of Toys R Us, and
yeah, same.
I bought so many Skylanders there that I could have gotten on clearance.
Yeah, mine were a bit longer ago, but for sure.
Okay, the music. This is something we have not brought up in the slightest. So I don't know. What do you think? Like, he has a very specific question. This is kind of like the fan parlor game that's so common with Smash Brothers that we have kind of shied away from. The if you could pick 3, which would you pick? Do you have anything to say about the music firsthand? Because honestly, it's something I don't think a whole lot about. I like a lot of the Smash Brothers music, but for me, at the end of the day, a lot of them are just cover versions of, and I always prefer the original take.
Oh, that's
course,
interesting.
maybe-
I was going to say I prefer when it is a cover, because I think just putting the original version of the thing in Smash, either it doesn't fit sometimes.
Yeah. I agree with you there. I just mean in general, as far as like, I'll never prefer the Smash Brothers version of the DK round.
Oh, well,
for
yeah.
example.
Yeah, that's just clearly inferior.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything from Banjo-Kazooie would mean that Banjo-Kazooie's in the game, so that's a cheap.
Well, yes.
But with the series already represented in Smash Brothers, I would like to see the what's the name? I forgot the name of the song. I was just playing through Star Fox Adventures the other day, and the Lightfoot Village theme is really good.
Okay.
Any Star Fox Adventures song would be great. So that's one of the three I would pick. How about you?
Okay. I'll go with the theme from Thorntail Hollow, just because for me it's so iconic when you think Star Fox Adventures music.
Yeah.
That's kind of the
That'd be great.
The bass song, and it would be something different though, and I don't know if it would actually tonally fit any of the Star Fox games or Star Fox levels that are likely to be featured as stages.
I wouldn't be so against putting it on a not Star Fox thing. There was some more of that in Smash Wii U than there was in Brawl. There were occasionally just songs that were from completely different series showing up on stages. Like the Xenoblade stage was very naturalistic and atmospheric, but also had like these very big ships and like metallic robots and stuff that would maybe fit into the vibe of Star Fox Adventures. So I could see a Star Fox Adventures song going there, maybe.
You could just play it on a Donkey Kong stage.
Yeah, or that.
It's David Wise, and most of the game took place in lush, naturalistic environments. So
yeah,
there you go. All right, do you have a second one?
I mean, I want Spiral Mountain.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
say it. I mean, who cares? Damn the implications.
Yeah.
Just say you want Spiral Mountain.
Yeah.
I'll go with the Gangplank Galleon.
Sure, that's a good one.
Yeah, and it's iconic. And yes, with that, it doesn't necessarily mean K-Rool would have to be in it, but it's I think one of the top songs associated with the franchise.
Yeah, and I think you could
it would
swing
be
that to
fun
be
fight.
associated with Diddy as much as it is with K-Rool.
It's also got a driving beat to it that would make it good for a fighting game.
For sure.
Yeah.
For my last pick, I really like the credits to Tropical Freeze.
Okay.
The credits to Tropical Freeze are really great. They could go in any Donkey Kong stage. That'd be easy.
Oh, well, I wasn't even thinking in terms of Tropical Freeze. Of course, we're going to get something Tropical Freeze related from this game. We'd have to get a stage,
Don't say of course. You were so good about it this whole podcast until right now.
I know, but okay. Look, if this isn't just a port of Smash 4, then we're going to need new stages, and the glaring absence of anything related to Tropical Freeze, save for some trophies. I mean, in the last game, and the fact that we're getting a Tropical Freeze remake this year, or a port, or however you want to define it. How could we not get a Tropical Freeze stage? I would love. I don't think the Tropical Freeze stage would be this. I think it would incorporate freezing and the whole snowman aspect. But the grassland theme, the
Grassland Groove,
Savannah Grassland Groove. Yes,
that would be great.
That's like my favorite track from the game, and it would be terrific to see it back. In a new context in Smash. Get David Wise himself to do a remix of it, though. You got David Wise working with you now. You being Nintendo, have him actually go at it. All right.
Thanks for the question.
Yes, thanks, Angry Ancestor. All right, let's take the next call.
So what are some that you would bring back from past games? I know a popular one is the adventure mode, which would be really cool. One thing I'd like to see come back is the slot machine trophy feature from Melee. I know in each game they've had different, trophy games, but I always liked that first one. It was always really satisfying to get one you didn't have already, and, no frills to it. Just put in coins and get trophies. Also, I know this might be a popular question, but if by some chance Banjo-Kazooie did happen to get in, what moveset would you want for them? What level, music, the whole shebang. Although, if you guys already answered this question, then you know what? Don't even worry about it. Alright, have a great rest of the show. Bye-bye!
The first part of his call, I think he was driving through a tunnel or spelunking at a very inopportune time, just wrapping up his cave expedition. So we missed what he was trying to say at first, but I believe the crux of it is, which mode would you like back in the new Smash Brothers? And this is something we kind of touched upon a little bit.
We touched on it a little bit. But, the adventure mode is a big get for single player fans of the series. I really don't mind if it's more like Melee or more like Brawl. In that sense, Brawl definitely had like the bigger story. It was a bit more fulfilling, but Melee's was replayable and repeatable, and it was different every time a little bit.
The thing is, if they bring back the Melee styled adventure mode, I would want it to be more complete. It still felt like an afterthought in Melee.
Yeah, it could be a little bit longer, for sure.
You had like a few stages that were really cool, like, the side-scrolling Mushroom Kingdom stage, and I loved how they incorporated like a golf course in the background. It felt very much like you're seeing a side of the Mushroom Kingdom that the mainline Mario games will never show you. We're incorporating a little bit more of the Mario legacy in this. And it also came at a time when we weren't getting any 2D Mario Brothers games. This is before the new Super Mario Brothers game. So it felt very, very cool. The Metroid stage was cool, but I would want more. Like, for Donkey Kong, they just had you fight.
Yeah.
I want it to be more of an adventure and less of a few stages kind of designed from their parent series, and then the rest are just fighting marathons. Like, here, you're going to have to fight 30 Yoshis,
maybe
so
some
I would
brief, 10 to 15 second cutscenes of the quality and style of Super Smash Bros. Subspace Emissary.
Yes.
But just recontextualizing what you're doing for each level of the Melee style adventure mode. Maybe that's a good middle ground. Maybe that's something to hope for. I'd be into it.
It would be cool.
Oh, sorry, you go for it.
Oh, sorry. No, I was going to say it would be cool if they could have each stage be somehow representative of the main kind of game from the series is representing. But of course, in the Smash Brothers style, then with your character's moveset, so nothing too radically different. But if it's a side scroller, they're most known for, put them in a side scroller. If it's whatever, that would be cool to see, and it's something I felt like we missed out on in Melee. One of my few grievances with Melee.
Yeah, another grievance I kind of have with Melee is that, with the exception of the opening cinematic, there are very few chances for characters to actually interact with each other, and you see a lot of that in Subspace Emissary, and then it's gone again in Wii U. A return to that, a lot of people out there I know have problems with the story of Subspace Emissary, or the fact that it's like a cool collection of cutscenes, but maybe not a great game. This is all fair and true. But it did have the Pokemon trainer becoming friends with Lucas. That was rad. I liked it a lot. And stuff like Pikachu and Samus being friends.
Yeah. As a Rare fan, having Diddy and Fox McCloud team up.
Mm-hmm.
that was basically pornography for me.
Yeah, and then they fight a Pokemon. It's crazy. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
That's what that was able to do. And the character trailers for Super Smash Bros. 4 kind of did that, but they did that in the marketing stage of the game instead of the actual game, and like that that didn't feel great. I mean, like I understand that I still got the same amount of budget out of those trailers that I probably would have if they were part of the main game, but it didn't feel good to have that be the way they were.
No, absolutely not. It felt like you're wasting so much time making these trailers, and then I play the game and I find that the hype for the game was more enticing and intriguing than the actual game itself.
They were cool trailers, though.
They were cool trailers, yeah.
Just a clearly non-sustainable thing to do. It's so expensive. Another mode, before I forget, that isn't something we've already talked about is in Melee, break the targets was specific to each character. That was really cool. In Brawl, it was just like it wasn't that. There were 5 difficulties of break the targets, and each of those were unique, but like any character could go through them. Character specific break the targets would be really, really nice. That'd be tight.
You know what? I'm not even going to say a different thing. I agree with that 100%. And the thing I loved about break the targets in Melee was it taught me how to play as every character.
Yeah.
Not like master them, not like become a tournament winning, champion with each character, but it taught me how I can then utilize every character to win all of the single player modes that I needed to get all the achievements, to get all the trophy, stuff like that.
Character-based puzzles.
Yeah. And some of those break the target puzzles were hard. It was hard to figure out and satisfying when you got it. So I would absolutely love to see that back. Give me incentive to play as all of these characters. I'm mostly going to play as Diddy Kong and Donkey Kong and K. Rool and Funky Kong and Swanky Kong and Brash Bear. But you know what? I know, because I know all those characters are getting in, and my whole year will be ruined otherwise. But I'll play as Dark Pit if you give me a break the targets specifically designed around Dark Pit. That sounds fun to me.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
You see, in Melee, I didn't have any connection to Marth and Roy. None whatsoever. I ended up liking them because of what I went through in the game. If in the absence of any like character-specific things, like a story beat in Subspace Emissary or like a specific break the targets mode for that character, it was really hard for me to like make new friends with a character I was not yet familiar with in Wii U. Where I was into it in Melee and Brawl. Like, yeah, I have no idea, or at the time I had no idea what Metal Gear Solid was all about. And Brawl got me like into Metal Gear Solid. I really like it now. And I think that is the power of Smash, and by not utilizing it, it's a little bit of a missed opportunity. But the other part of that call was Banjo-Kazooie's moveset.
Yes.
I'm not thinking anything too crazy. A lot of the new characters from 4 and what looks like the Inklings will be, they've got these niche specific things that only they can do, which is kind of cool. But I don't think Banjo's that kind of character. I imagine a side B to be maybe like shooting a... like Banjo ducks down, Kazooie pops her head out, and she shoots a grenade egg. You can just swing Kazooie around by the neck like Breagle Bash for the standard moves. Maybe for a final smash, you have Mumbo come out and he transforms you into a T-Rex.
See, I'm thinking so much more basic, and I realize I'm thinking more in Melee terms than the hyper convoluted nonsense that 4 descended into. But I was thinking final smash. A flight pad comes out and you can beak bomb them. I realize that's lacking the spectacle.
And that's pretty good too, though.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, sure.
Speaking of that, though, Mario's final smash should also be a T-Rex from Odyssey, and we just get 2 T-Rex based final smashes. I wouldn't be against it. T-Rexes are great. There's a lack of T-Rex in Smash as it is.
Hey guys, it's Ethan or Van the Bear here, and, oh boy, Smash is back. Yeah. Okay, I'm just gonna get the smash. Okay, I'm just gonna get this out of the way. If they announce Dixie Kong, that'll be cool. If they announce, say, Banjo-Kazooie, great, that's amazing. Nice to see Microsoft and Nintendo ran along together, but I don't care. I will not care. I will not pick up this game. I will not even consider it until King K. Rool is announced. It's just, I know I sound so bitter, but, and childish, and, just, you're not gonna buy the game unless you care, but darn it, it's Smash Brothers. It's the same thing every time, and, I just don't wanna buy it. Spend $60 on a game I don't want without the character that I want most. And it just, But guys, be real with you. I've said this before, but I think we're getting King K. Rool Smash. I think this is the year King K. Rool's coming back, and I think that extends to Smash. People are starting to take note of his popularity, and I think, I feel like this is it. This is K. Rool's big comeback. I think he's going to be the villain of the Donkey Kong Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle DLC. I think he's going to be like the boss of that. I think potentially if we get a new... I feel like we could get a new Donkey Kong racing game. Honestly, some point soon. And that, of course, would have to bring K. Rool back. I feel like we get him in Smash because his overall popular on the Smash ballot. His popularity overall, and I feel like we can get K. Rool back in Smash or Donkey Kong in the main. This all is really confused. I know I'm just on a tantrum about K. Rool, but I know you're going to already be talking about in this episode. But I want him back. I want him in Smash, and I will not consider getting the game without him. So Smash is just nothing but bitter disappointment to me. It's a stale series to me. You know what? And I'm not going to say it's going to suck or anything. If you like it and if you're excited for it, good for you. But darn it, it's just been nothing there to me. So what do you guys think about my little tantrum and all that stuff? Hope you're having a good episode.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Do you have a therapist? And if not, would you like a card? I'm trying to help you out, man, because I don't want you to be destroyed by the Smash Brothers hype. And it sounds like you're already halfway there.
To me, this is just my take on it, because the reason I was initially impressed by what DK Vine was doing and why I joined the forums all those years ago were mainly from a Banjo perspective. I like Donkey Kong Country. It's just not my favorite thing. The way Banjo is. I don't see, maybe this is just crazy. I'm just wrong. I'm just off base here. I don't see why Dixie Kong wouldn't be as good, if not better, for the series than K. Rool.
I think I can answer you that. And for that, I think it's rooted back in the Melee era when they added Bowser and Ganondorf. And there was part of the appeal of Melee was, the original Smash Brothers, it was so much fun to have all these Nintendo protagonists finally get to fight each other. And with Melee, we got... Yeah, absolutely. Lifelong desires finally satiated by having Jigglypuff face off against Fox McCloud. But Melee introduced two antagonists in one fell swoop. And after that, it really like triggered like this desire to see the main antagonist of all of the big Nintendo franchises get to fight each other. And I think K. Rool, like, we were like, oh, King DDD, it should be in the third one, and K. Rool then, and that desire has never really left, and it's only grown in certain segments, especially of the Donkey Kong fan base. And so much so that K. Rool now outweighs Dixie in getting in Smash Brothers. And it's not like we wouldn't be happy or proud to see Dixie up there on that stage, and she absolutely deserves it.
Well,
but I think...
I mean, I don't think that applies to Ethan / Bane the Bear. I think he's...
Okay.
he's
No.
fixated.
Okay. I'm saying in a general, broader sense, but I think like where Ethan and a lot of fans are coming from is there is a greater validation to have the series' primary antagonist up there, because it's a validation that your series is just as well rounded and complete as Mario, as Zelda, in Smash Brothers' case as Kirby. And so not only do you get the joy of this Legion of Doom kind of, you can either team up all the villains or have them fight each other. You get that aspect, but you also get this sense of our series is just as important as Mario and just as important as Zelda. And to be frank, K. Rool is one of the most popular Donkey Kong characters. He is, I mean, among the fan base, he is maybe even the most popular at this point. Maybe he's even surpassed Donkey and Diddy themselves. He's an interesting villain, and some of that is fan conjecture, but a lot of that is just how Rare presented him, especially in those first 3 years, where he was just this guy who was having a mental breakdown before our eyes. And the fact that he can be so many different things. He's essentially, all he is really is Bowser from the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, in that every episode of that, Bowser took on a new persona based on the setting of that week.
Yeah.
And that's all K. Rool is. K. Rool is that made manifest. But my favorite Bowser was the Bowser, or excuse me, King Koopa from the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. That was my favorite iteration of that character. So to have him in the Donkey Kong series as K. Rool, that works for me just fine. So that's my understanding of it. I could be wrong, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure everyone has their specific different reasons for liking their characters, but I would argue that if you think Smash is so stale, and there's nothing wrong with thinking that, I totally understand where you're coming from. Don't get it even if K. Rool's in it. Like, if you just don't like the game, don't get it. Even if it has...
Well, yeah.
Because then it's just like, you've been so obviously influenced by the marketing of the thing to play a game you don't want to play.
I understand what you're saying. I personally have to refrain from this because I'm the guy who will buy anything if one of the Kongs is in it. So I am just the wrong person to even suggest this.
That's fair. I understand that I'm in a very privileged position where I just like playing Smash. So the thing that I want in Smash is always kind of just going to be gravy, unless they really mess up the fighting system of the game, like I would argue they did in Brawl. And then in that case, stuff gets whatever. You want to do the next call?
Well, real quick, and I realize we're running long here, whatever that means for the conversation, but I did want to touch upon some of the comments in the live stream chat as well.
Ooh, okay.
Cameron Regal, a DK Vine staffer, Frequent Conversation co-host, is there. He says, in regards to K. Rool over Dixie, for me, part of it is the novelty. Even if he comes back, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to play as K. Rool in a Donkey Kong Country platformer.
That's a good point.
He says, I'd be happy to have Dixie, though, in an ideal world, we get both, but there's always a part of me that says, I know what playing as Dixie on a 2D plane is like. So, yeah, I think that is actually absolutely an aspect of it. I've played as Dixie many times, and as much as I love playing as Dixie, I'm interested to see how K. Rool will perform in Smash Brothers as one of the only opportunities to do so. Amazing DJ Dustin says you can play as him in Barrel Blast, though. That's something.
Oh, great.
But you're yeah, well, for starters, it's Barrel Blast, and unless they reintegrate bongos in a new play control version, as we mentioned last episode, that's not going to be enjoyable. And two, you're strapped to a vehicle. It's one thing to have a character playable in a racing game. It's another to be able to have them walk around and jump and kick and do all of these things. And Smash Brothers would definitely scratch that itch. All right, let's take the next call.
Hey, six-time caller here. Hi, Mitchell and guest. I'm calling about Super Smash Bros. 5 for the Switch. First off, I will say the reason I didn't buy a Wii U was because of Smash 4 for the Switch being really just Fire Emblem Fighters and not adding Dixie or K. Rool, obviously. So I still haven't played Tropical Freeze yet. I don't own a Wii. I know I'm crazy. That's like not having seen The Last Jedi yet, because Donkey Kong Country Returns is definitely The Force Awakens, and Tropical Freeze is definitely The Last Jedi. So I didn't buy a Wii U, but I did buy a Wii U game. About a week before my birthday in October, I walked into a GameStop and was on a mission to buy one thing, a Donkey Kong Skylander Amiibo Dark Edition. Searching the store eye level, I saw nothing. Then I looked up and saw it. The Deluxe Edition Starter Kit of the DK Dark Edition. I was elated as the price was marked down from $76 to only $16. I jumped up, grabbed it, and now I own a Wii U game and an Amiibo, but no Wii U. Moral of the story, I was so against Smash 4 that I refused to buy a Wii U even though I own a Wii U game. I'm tepidly excited for Smash Switch, but I was also excited, but I also exited out of the hype about a year before Smash 4 came out, so who knows if they announce Marth's straight uncle or Roy's former babysitter or Marth's Sunday barista at the specific Starbucks that he goes to as characters, I may tap out again. Listen, obviously they're going to utilize the Smash 4 engine since the Wii U and the Switch must have similar architecture with all of these remakes they've been doing. I also hope that stupid fucking bunny from the 3DS badge game is included. One of the best new Nintendo characters by far. At its heart, Smash Brothers really is the culmination of every Nintendo franchise, and Smash 4 didn't live up to that history. It was the Avengers of video games, except without Kevin Feige and wife cheater Joss Whedon at the helm. As a kid, I drew out how Super Smash Bros. Should be on the back of my 7th grade math homework. In it, I added Banjo-Kazooie, obviously, as this was the year 1997, and some Super Mario RPG bucks. Let's be honest, the thing that needs to be in Super Smash Bros. 5 the most is the radar scope from Radar Scope.
Six-time caller, thank you for your always absolutely correct opinions on everything.
It's interesting when you get like a well-written phone call.
Yeah, like I don't know if he scripts these things ahead of time or if he's just so much better at improv than I am. I don't even know where he was going with that. Radar Scope. I like that. I want them to get weird with it. I don't mind that they get weird with it. Like for some people, like the Wii fitness trainers were a bridge too far. I like those.
Yo, yeah, me too. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
But
I want them to get even weirder and more obscure. Like I want one of the things that I've always wanted, along with like Chad and other DK Vine staffers over the years, has been Space Puck from Galactic Pinball. And then Jeff Onan suggested, what if we have a Virtual Boy as a playable character called the Virtual Boy, and he projects, different aspects of Virtual Boy games from his visor, similarly to how Duck Hunt was a celebration of all of the light gun games, the Zapper games. And that's what I want them to get weird with. Like Mr. Game & Watch was great. I want something similar for the Virtual Boy. And
Radar Scope, I'm not too familiar with what the actual game is. I know that's the arcade game that had to be retooled into Donkey Kong 81. Like it was the one that they had all those cabinets of in North America that they changed into the first Donkey Kong arcade cabinets. I have no idea what the game is. So, sure. Yeah. I mean, whatever. If you just mean the cabinet, great. If you mean a specific thing from that game, also cool. I don't know.
Well, it could also be a stage. That's the thing. Like, we need better stages in this Smash Brothers game, and I'm not afraid of them incorporating stages sans characters. We don't need a character stage correspondence necessarily. We can have lots more stages to represent those Nintendo franchises that maybe don't warrant a character.
And they've been doing that. In Brawl, they had an Animal Crossing stage before they had Villager, and there's been PictoChat and some other stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like those stages aren't any fun.
Okay.
I feel like they suck. I guess my thing is I want that, but I want them done well.
Well, yeah. I mean, with all the stuff I've been suggesting, the underlying unsaid second suggestion is, but good.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what if it had good graphics, Hyle? Whoa.
Which is the best form of criticism. It would, it'd be like, oh yeah, well this movie was fine. I would have loved it if it was actually, competently done.
Yeah.
But, it's fine.
It was pretty good, but it would have been better if it was, better. Whoa.
So that's the kind of high caliber video game criticism and commentary one can expect every episode here on DK Vine's The Kongversation and the Super Jump podcast as well.
Sure.
There's another point he wanted. Oh yeah, Dark Donkey Kong from off of Skylanders. You know what? Turnabout's fair play. Let's get Dark Donkey Kong as an alt. Funky Kong and Dark Donkey Kong as clones. Sure.
Yeah, sure. Whatever.
I would like Donkey Kong to have his Evel Knievel jumpsuit from Skylanders as an alternate costume this time around.
Sure, man.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's just going to have different colored furs again, but, Mario has his America costume or whatever the hell that is. Give me the Evel Knievel jumpsuit. I like it.
I'm sure you were probably joking, but in case you didn't know, or in case listeners out there didn't know, the America jumpsuit that Mario has is from NES Golf.
Is that the actual name of it? Because I know there was the original
Golf
NES
Open
Golf.
Or whatever.
Because there were two NES games that vaguely used Mario. There was one explicitly that used Mario that came later that had Daisy in it and Luigi, and then there was an earlier one that had a vague Mario shaped character. But
I don't remember what it was, but it's one of those.
No, it was from the second one, because the one that had the vague Mario proportioned character, it was Mario but in regular human proportions, and it was just called Golf. And it was one of the earlier NES games. My dad bought it when we bought an NES because he's a big golfer, and he bought that game, and that was the first golf game that he later replaced with Lee Trevino's Fighting Golf for the NES. Fighting Golf. I played my fair share of Fighting Golf back in the day. One time I'm gonna have to do an Oops All Tangents episode about Lee Trevino's Fighting Golf, because I see people make fun of it online. One of the worst titles ever, as far as actual video game names, Lee Trevino's Fighting Golf. But you know what? Have you ever played it, people? I don't think so. I have.
I can't say I have.
I have.
Yeah, so I was just wondering about this announcement. It's great, everyone is happy. Is it really just because you want the development team to pretend that Donkey Kong is as important as Mario? Thanks.
I'm afraid you were, I don't know, eating a bag of Doritos or something during half that call, so I didn't actually understand what the fuck you were asking. I think it's something about me not liking Smash Brothers. I assume he wasn't referring to you, Mitchell. Just because this is my house.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was saying something like, "Is the reason you have so many underlying issues with Smash Brothers because psychologically you're jealous that Mario gets so much attention, and you wish Donkey Kong could because you live in a make-believe world where Donkey Kong is just as important as the Mario series." I think that's what he was asking. And yes, the answer is yes. That probably plays a large part of it. And I feel like I have the small man syndrome. I feel like I need to buy a high-powered rifle. I feel like I need a big pickup truck with monster truck wheels on it after I play Smash 4 because I've only got 2 characters. I've only got like a couple stages. Mario's got goddamn near Baker's dozen.
Yep.
A Fire Emblem is just like out the wazoo. And yeah, so yes, that does play a part in it. I'm only human. Look, I recognize my faults. What are you doing to improve you, caller?
You know, the thing with Mario is that it's represented not just the number of characters, but it's also the exact picks that they've picked are like good picks for representation. That represents a lot of various aspects of the Mario universe, even when you include, or especially when you include Yoshi, Wario, and Donkey Kong as well. Like a lot of bases are covered. The thing with Donkey Kong, and I was kind of thinking about this when I was talking about why YK Rule over Dixie. If you had Dixie Kong, that would be, I mean, she is an important character, but it would also look like you just have 3 Kongs and that's it. And that would maybe send the message that that's the only thing going on in Donkey Kong. I think that Zelda is actually similarly poorly represented in Smash. Not necessarily in the number of characters, again, but just the kind of characters. Like, all of those are humanoid folks. In Ganondorf, Zelda, Sheik, Link, and the other Link. When there's so many different races and colorful characters in Zelda. So yeah, that's not related to this person's call at all. I was just thinking about that. I hope that the style of representation is better in this one, even if the number of represented things is not.
I mean, it's weird how poorly Zelda is represented in Smash Brothers when you would think that would be second best represented, considering it's fucking Zelda.
Yeah.
And Fire Emblem, like it's so skewed, again, I think, towards Sakurai's preferences. And that wasn't an issue in Brawl. It was only until 4 that it just felt like, I'm just going to make this game for me with a few breadcrumbs for, you know, what other people want. And maybe that's just my own biases and prejudices coming to the surface, because if I were a bigger fan of any of those franchises that corresponded with what Sakurai chose, then I wouldn't necessarily be saying that. But it's just bitter, sour grapes. I understand that. And this is why I want to avoid this kind of discussion. But you can't, Mitchell. You can't. You can run, but you can't hide for long, because the rest of the internet will find you cowering under that rock. And I know why so many of our callers went spelunking this week, because they're trying to escape from it themselves. So wrapping it all up, you said September, not November. Why September?
Right. Thanks for reminding me. I totally forgot about that. A lot of people are saying that this could coincide with the launch of Nintendo's new paid online service, and that launches in September.
I thought you were going to say 9/11.
Yeah, that too.
Sense. My issue, if they do time it for the launch of the paid service, is I don't want this game to be rushed. And I feel like, I don't know if that was actually an aspect of the last Smash Brothers, if it was rushed at the end of the day, but I don't want them to be rushing to meet an artificial deadline when I want this game to be good, because there really are no do-overs. You can try to smooth over the cracks with DLC, but it's not going to happen if the underlying what do you call a foundation for a road? I'm not a man who works with his hands too much.
I would assume road.
You can pave over the road all you want, but if that road is on quicksand, you're not going to be able to drive over it. There we go. Nicely done, Hyle.
If the paved road is over quicksand, you can't... No.
No, because the pavement will eventually sink into quicksand.
Okay.
The ground itself is rotten. Not literally rotten, but it's unsuitable. It's... My smoke alarm is going off. I should probably examine...
Oh. Got some fire?
This has been a File 2 production.